Is it happening? Oh my goodness. Let me push the button. Hold on. Ouch. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a Life Lived Trans podcast with your host, me, Mardi P. And that guy over there is Lenny Z. It's Lenny Zina. We're so happy to bring you a weekly doses of wisdom or whatever you want to call it from two old trannies who have seen it all before. We're two old vampires just, looking back at what's happening again, like watching the tide of conservative and all. Okay, anyways, back to the right now you are listening to a free preview. To get the full episode, be sure to check out our Patreon. Links will be in the description below. Hi, Lenny. It's
Hi,
so hard
dear.
to take anything seriously right now. I'm just like, oh my God.
Well, I'm glad you're keeping your sense of humor because that keeps us all buoyant when we're curled up in a little ball on the floor. And Marty comes on with the big smile and the performance art, the performative videos that you post. And I'm like, oh, a little ray of sunshine. And then, some real true life stories. So it is a scary time for everybody. And even though we call ourselves trans elders, I don't know about you, Marty, but I think trans people tend to age better. I don't know.
Trans people need to age better.
No, I think we do.
We do. Yeah, I think the people that hold light and stuff, I don't think, I always say it's like hate doesn't age well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great one.
So I think just being, trans or queer or whatever, it's like if you see older queer, fun people, even the cattiest, like cuntiest queens type of thing, when you get to know them, they're just, mushmillows, type of thing. But I think that's holding on to our light and our joy and that bliss is like what, allowed us to survive. I really believe that, and I'm a part-time yogi too, right? Type of thing. And even studying the yogic text and stuff like that. It's like one of the perfections, like there's the 6 perfections, which, to become enlightened, right? And it's like, one of them is joy. The perfection of joy. And it's because if you don't have joy in your practice or anything you do, you won't continue to do it, right? And so that's your little dose of wisdom today. I'm channeling original Vivienne Westwood. If you're watching this and you're a Patreon like top tier subscriber, you can see that I'm wearing a vintage. Well, it's not vintage. She was alive. It was like 5 years ago.
Oh, it's just absolutely stunning. It's a little bit off kilter.
And the safety pin and the safety pin earrings too, with the orbs on the end. Yeah.
And we both come from a pretty punk background, but even in our growing process,
we were talking about that.
We come to this joy, and I think just want to go back to what you were saying, that because we are able to live our authentic lives and we are true to ourselves, we are not holding that tension that people who hang on to hate or can't be their selves or admit to themselves who and what they are. And so they don't age as well, but just quickly about that, to carry on with the Vivienne Westwood thread. I remember when people used to laugh at her stuff. They'd be, and Joan Rivers would have her on her talk show during the day, and had her on, and it was so the audience could laugh at it, really, at the close. And it's like, but they didn't realize it's like, she was, worming her way into the, mainstream. But like that whole punk, her fashion and everything, she came along with punk, and the pirate core, as some of the young trannies call it. It's like, but it's like, and it was pirates because we were going against the system. Like the queer culture back then was very heterosexual too. You know what I mean? But the queers just came along with it. It didn't, it wasn't cool to segregate. And now she's considered an icon. Her stuff is,
now she's an icon,
untouchable. And they used to laugh at her.
So these waves of, if young kids, young ones are watching this, and you're all like depressed about what's going on, it's hard not to be. But honey, it's like the last wave that came in was Reagan and AIDS and all that shit, and they were like ignoring AIDS, and everybody was dying, and we had to freak out and do die-ins in halls of Congress and stuff. Like this is our moment to do that again, because then it went swinging back to the left again. You know what I mean? We had a great time, but that's what welcome to the human experience, honey.
Right. And, a lot of great music came out of that horrible time. I did some ACT UP activities at Kennebunkport, Maine, in front of George Bush the First, his compound, because people were just dropping left and right, we were there for it, and both of us.
And then they started the Gulf War and all that shit.
And both of us are lucky we didn't succumb to that, right? Because we were living on the edge, living on the edge.
And Canada didn't even. They wouldn't go to war in Iraq. It's like you guys got we're going into the early 2000s now.
Yes,
with the other George Bush, But it's like, but this slow pendulum swing back to this, right wing lunacy, right? And it's like, and it looks to see where the cracks are, and it's like, so this can be. This is an alarm bell for sure.
It really is.
You need to plug up those fucking holes, especially in the state. I'm Canadian, man. I'm watching this and we're going like, holy shit. If anything, all of the shits that's going down and that crazy president of yours that wants to goose step their way into Canada here. It's like, it's bringing us together.
Yes,
right?
I've noticed that. And what they always, the joke is, I wonder how Canada feels about living up above a meth lab. It's like, you never know when it's going to blow up, because we're doing such crazy things here. And I just want to.
Before, actually, a few years ago, it just kind of looked like we were looking at a car wreck off the highway.
Right.
But now it's like you're realizing that the meth lab is downstairs.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get through it. It's going to be hard. But every day I see people protesting. I see yesterday was International Women's Day, and there were thousands, millions of women all across the world.
Oh, did you see the women in France that were like naked? They were naked with the paint with the flags, over their breasts, and with the Nazi symbol,
and their entire
out.
arm was red, and
and they called it fascist. What did they call it again? It was something against fascism, something. I don't know. It was so French. It's so
French,
beautifully French, and it's like, don't fuck with French women, man.
No, I know.
Like we're bilingual here. The French women, like, it's like it's like God. It's a whole different vibe in Quebec, I tell you, and it's like, and they're just. They have become proud Canadians, and they were lots of separatist stuff going on in there. We had a vote to separate, like, just I think it was in the 1990s, and it was 51% to stay in Canada. Right?
Wow,
it was so close. But it's brought in the French together too. They're like, "Fuck you, Trump," and all that stuff. And
everybody, and they were protesting in front of the Tesla car factory. 6 people got arrested yesterday, and so, obviously we support the Canadians, and you do what you have to do. They've taken
get out there.
They've taken all the liquor off the shelf, all the American liquor off the shelves.
No more Jack Daniels.
Right.
No more Jack Daniels.
Everybody's here is freaking out, like, oh, I'm going to lose my job. We're going to lose money. And it's like, you know what? You're playing with fire, people. And so, if he gets a little bit weirder and starts invokes the Insurrection Act or martial law, then we're going to really be up against some fire. But I really do think that I see people coming together, and I see people, they're not consuming as much. They're not shopping at Amazon and Walmart and Target and these big box stores. They're trying to go local as much as possible. And but let's get back to our subject about how we met, and then we'll take turns talking a little bit about ourselves.
I want to say I love this new little setup. I don't know if people that pay for the visual of this will see this setup. I think they'll see the new logo of us, which is really cool. Yeah. So shout out to the kids that put together this logo. We like it. Thank you for putting up with how many times you wanted to change it. Well, they are. Oh my God, they're like half my.
It's like they would be our children.
They would be our children.
And we're the parents.
Oh, it was Calla Craze. Thinsopia. Oh, I think they talk about her on Diva Down podcast. Is that the one?
Is she the artist?
Yeah, she's the artist. Okay, I'll have to go.
Oh, good. Kaya.
I'll have to go stalk her. Oh, Kaya Craze. okay, mother's going to start stalking her. I keep stalking all these young ones that they have on their program. I live vicariously through them. They're so cute. I love them.
So even though we're worlds apart, you're way on the west coast of Canada. I'm here in New York.
I'm on Vancouver Island, honey.
Very lovely from what I've seen. But do you remember how we met?
The unceded territory of the Clayoquot Sound.
Clayoquot?
Clayoquot.
That's hard to say.
Clayoquot Sound. It's an ancient rainforest here. I live in an ancient rainforest.
Wow. No wonder you're so peaceful and spiritual.
Well, that's why I have great skin. Everybody goes, "Oh my God, drop the skincare line." It's like, honey, I live on Vancouver Island. It's like we grow moss on our feet, for fuck's sakes. It's like we get double the amount of rain that fucking England does.
Oh
well, not double, but it's like another third more or something.
If we have to escape the U.S., we may end up at
on down.
At yours.
I have absolutely. We have a half an acre. We could build we could build at least 6 yurts.
Yurts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like wooden yurts. It'd be cool. And then we could teach yoga and make some coin and stuff.
That would be fine. That would be fine. Yeah. But so I jumped on TikTok in 2022 because I'd written this song, "Where Is Safe," and I said, "Oh, all the kids are on this TikTok thing." And then I saw one of your videos, and immediately I said, "Who is that?"
You saw this woman.
Well, you were gorgeous, and I love beautiful women.
But did you read me right away?
I did not. I absolutely did not.
Oh my God!
Not at all. But you were talking about something. Then all of a sudden, the wheels started turning, and I said, "Oh my God, I have to follow her." And then you were on live, and I jumped in your live, and I because you have a lot of people come in there. And I was like, "Oh God, I hope she picks me. I hope she picks me." Because I really want to talk to this woman because we have a very similar experience.
I don't even remember that. Did you come on and I
did.
On the script?
I did.
We talked live together?
We talked live, and I told you a little bit about myself and that, I grew up in the early 80s. I transitioned in the 70s. I was in a punk band in the 80s. New wave, all that stuff.
I would have been like, "Oh yeah," I would have followed you right away because it was like meeting another fucking unicorn.
It really was. It was.
It was like meeting another unicorn. On the flip side too, like what the fuck? It's like this was great. I thought, "Oh my God, this is so cool." And I instantly just like fell in love with your stuff. And everything.
Same here. I just wanted to.
And it's like you're an icon. You went through the punk days, the CBGB, all that. You did all the shit. I went to Montreal in '85, and the idea was to move to New York. Right?
Well, Montreal was pretty cool too, though.
And I went to New York a couple times, but us, a whole bunch of French artistic snobs would go there, and we'd sit in the pyramid and shit, and act like our shit didn't stink. We kind of look at everybody like they were like, "Oh my God," because we were being very bourgeois, right? Very like that. But it's like, but the idea was to move to New York, but then that serial killer tried to kill me in 1985, and that's a whole other story. And then I went limping back to the coast in Vancouver. But yeah, it's like seeing your stuff and knowing where you came from. I thought, "Oh my God, this is my people." And I couldn't wait to connect with you.
Yeah, because I grew up in New Orleans, and I didn't get to New York until '91. But so there was a little foot in each place and still is to this day. But I thought I would ask you a few questions so that you could just talk about your experience as a trans elder and what it was like for you coming up, and tell the audience a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how it was coming up as a trans kid in the 70s.
Sure. Yeah, it's like I'm so excited to I want to just say right now, it's like I'm actually writing about this right now. It's for the last year I've been working with a writer friend, and she's my interpreter, and we just got signed to a literary agency out of New York.
Exciting.
Yeah, just like 3 weeks ago. I know. And so they're really connected with all anyways, we're putting the package together. So anyways, we're talking about this whole first part of my life, and it started at 15. I started running away and going to down in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is kind of like I don't know. It was kind of like it's like the Texas province, type of thing.
I did not know that about Calgary.
Yeah, I grew up riding horses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. But I was not into it. Oh my God. My great aunt used to laugh. She says she wanted to get me some ballet toe shoes because the way that I'd walk out to see the horse, I'd be like, ew, 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 like, with the shit and everything
Right.
around type of thing. And so she
So
wanted
you
to
were
get me
very
ballet.
dainty.
But I was very dainty. And and it kind of freaked me out. And a lot of times I would just not have any of it and I'd just sleep in the car and wait for everybody to be finished. But so yeah, I was a reluctant cowgirl. I could ride horses and stuff. So it's like, and then I was a theater kid. The young Canadians of the Calgary Stampede are quite famous. They go all over the world, and I was in their song and dance thing, right?
How cool.
Every year, and you had to audition for them, and it was like fame. Yeah, like you took classes all during the year and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Ballet, tap, jazz, and singing and stuff. And so, thank God for that because my household was really conservative, except for which was weird because my mom had a modeling agency too, right? Well, finishing school and
Finishing
modeling
school.
agency. Yeah, that's how fucking old I am. And it's like, so where, they learned how to eat and walk proper and all that stuff too, and then they, get into catalog magazines, work and stuff. But anyways, so yeah, I was around all that stuff. And, but my mom at her core was, not, once the whole queer thing came up, she was like trying to squash it and stuff.
With you.
And yeah, with me. Yeah. And
because there
and
seems
she had
like
her,
when you mentioned the ballet shoes, I think that was your grandmother. It was almost
yeah,
like there was an
my
inkling.
great aunt.
Your great
Yeah.
aunt. There was an inkling of like, wow, Marty would
Yeah.
wear ballet shoes.
Yeah, my mom was in denial. She didn't want to know, and it's we had, and she, but unfortunately, we were estranged for 28 years until she was dying, and then she reached out, and she actually said to me when she was dying, she said, "I really wish that I would have had your brother, who is 3 years younger than me, first, because then I wouldn't have been in such denial about who you were, because you're great Annie Jean, and everybody said that there was something different about you, and even they had nurses and doctors and stuff saying, do you want like, and she said no, that's fine. She didn't want any kind of intervention, right?
Were there any arguments or fights between you when you were first starting to exhibit difference?
Oh, well, I grew up in Catholic schools, right? So I had nuns and priests as teacher. And I remember the nuns like whacking me in the hands and stuff when I'd go, stop holding your hands like that. It's like the devil's in you. It's like you're not a girl. It's like all that stuff. They'd be hitting me. And I'd be going, I don't know. Well, yeah, it was corporal punishment was fine back then, right? They could beat you. It was insane.
I mean,
so inside I was just like turning into Carrie, right? Like Carrie, the movie hadn't even come out yet, but it's like, I was just seeing pig's blood on everybody. I just wanted to, I'm amazed that I didn't become a serial killer.
Hitting kids causes trauma, lifelong trauma.
Oh yeah. But luckily the theater saved me and I was able to get all my angst and all that stuff out of my creativity that way, right? And I knew that all I had to do was grow up and get the fuck out of here because I knew being involved in, the Young Canadians of the Calgary Stampede and the local, if there was touring productions for Broadway shows and stuff and they needed kids, they'd audition and I'd usually get the parts and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And then, so I saw these really queer choreographers and people and actors that were like so freaking way more gay that I couldn't even wrap my head around some of it, right? So I knew that there was something different out there, right? And I just had to get old and find it. And then like so many people, my first trans person triggered what I was, and that was Christine Jorgensen in a magazine, and it was her anniversary of her surgery or something like that. And I was reading, I was going, holy shit. I was like, I remember just being on the toilet because my mom had all these gossip magazines and everything. And that's where I saw it. And I remember just like, I probably, evacuated very easily on the toilet. And then I was just looking at this, and all of a sudden, this, when that you're hearing about trans stuff for the first time and it's all starting to you can see your Rubik's trans cube in your brain, like coming together
Yes.
perfectly, and all, you know what I mean? And it just your egg cracks, right? It's such a amazing feeling. And I was like, holy fuck. And I kept reading. And then they said, you know, all these surgeries are in most major North American big cities. They have them, like
And it
university
just hit you.
hospitals.
You're like, that's me.
And I was like, oh
That's
my
what I'm
God,
experiencing.
and all I have to do, I have to keep it quiet about this. I can't tell fucking anybody. And it said, but I just have to figure out how to get to the next, to whatever city is closest, and just get the fuck out of there. And I was like 12, and I went, oh yeah, and it took me 3 years before I started running away. Right. I knew that it was Vancouver by that time, because I started meeting queer kids there was this park downtown, I call it, and there was this kiddie stroll that, you know, these basically pedophiles actually bought us, you know, type of thing. And that's where you know, these kids were migrating from like Montreal to Vancouver in the winter, you know, because Vancouver is like the warmest place in Canada, you know, and where I live on Vancouver Island. And so it's just natural that it's like they were like migrating caribou, right? Like these fucking hookers. And then it's like, and then the spring would thaw, and then they'd migrate back to the plains and over to Montreal and everything. You know, because it becomes slim pickings in Vancouver because all the hoes are there. But it's like, but that's where all the trans people were, everything. And you start hearing about these stories about these trans women, and then you'd see them in the summer going to the club that was across the street from this kiddie stroll, and we'd climb this fucking tree, and we'd like watch them at night, and we'd pop acid, and we'd watch them just like we were watching the Academy Awards. It was like,
wow.
And we'd watch these fucking trans women coming out of these taxis, and it looked like the Academy Awards every Saturday night, right? And it's like, and we go, and somebody would go, oh my God, that's Frankie. Oh, she just got her cunt. I heard that. Oh no, she did. She did. No, and then somebody would go, she's real. You know what I mean? You'd have all these like these up and coming kids. It was so neat.
But
it was so fucking cool.
It was so long ago. It was so early in at least in the modern era.
Fucking 7.
Yeah, so early in the trans. Well, look, there's been trans people forever. And after Christine Jorgensen and Renee Richards, you know,
and that's
everything
how you
came out. But, and I think we're going to talk in a future episode about how hard it was, you know, coming up through that era when there wasn't a lot of gender affirming care, and there wasn't as much science as there is almost 40 years later.
And we don't have these space machines, this instant knowledge to pass on. It's like you'd have to go into a library and go into like and look at the word transsexual.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Oh my God. And then go give a note to the fucking like librarian to get the microfiche.
Right.
The microfiche that you would go in the back room, and they'd put it up to this machine, and so you could go scroll through old shit, and you know, and you'd like read about fucking like Christine Jorgensen and all that shit. Yeah, it's like that's what you had to do.
And that's exactly how I found out. I mean, my parents knew there was something wrong. I knew I was different, probably, you know, pretty early, 4 or 5. My mom says, yeah, about 4. And the arguments, because my mom's Cuban, my dad was a Methodist minister from Iowa, and he was very chill. But my mom was very feminine. She kind of looked like Elizabeth Taylor, and she hated the way I walked. She hated the way I chewed. She did not like the way I dressed or I wanted to dress. And we would fight. I mean, I was in tears going to the pediatrician one day because she put me in some palazzo pants and a little blousy shirt with chains. I was like, I was just bawling, crying. And finally, they took me to Tulane Medical Center at 12 or 13. I can't remember the exact date. And they said there's something wrong. Because I was despondent. I was depressed. I knew I wanted to be a boy. I would pray every night for God to let me wake up and be a boy or not want to be a boy. And so these 2 doctors, Kathleen Reeves and Dr. Lillian Robinson, who's the pediatric psychiatrist, they talked to me several times. They took a bunch of tests, and they told my parents, you know, I've always been called Lenny because my real name was Blanca Elena, it was Spanish, and Lenny because I look like my cousin Lenny in Cuba. And they said, Lenny has decided what Lenny's going to be. Or Lenny is what Lenny is, and you can either accept it or not. Well, my mom was not having it. She was angry. She would try to take all my boy clothes away. which in the 70s was like jeans and a football shirt or whatever. But when my parents split up, my dad and I went to California, and my two sisters went with my mom. And I was lucky enough, I don't know how, I had the presence of mind to just enroll in school as a boy, and did that, through most of high school until I was outed by the one person I confided in. Because as we talk about later, is everybody was so androgynous in the 70s, long hair, the bushy, hair, the blousy shirts, the bell bottoms, the tinted aviator glasses.
Yeah, you said jeans and a football shirt. It's like that. I remember like wearing that. Everybody would wear stuff like that. Like it was so, it was so unisex. Everything was so unisex.
My mom grabbed me at one point before I left with my dad and said, "Don't you want to be a man?" And I was shaking, and we were both crying. And for the first time, I was able to say, "I am a man."
Nice.
And we didn't speak again. We were also estranged for almost 15 years. I mean, birthdays, occasionally on a holiday, we would see each other. And it was painful to lose that connection with your mom. But then finally, when, we got back together, I was 30, I think, and I was with my girlfriend of the time, Andre, who's now my wife. She realized I'm living a normal, happy life, and we had this cute apartment. It was very 80s. We had a zebra rug and some Corinthian columns with the TV on it. And some, remember the Nagel posters? With the women.
Who?
Nagel. He was like you'd know it if you saw it. The silhouette women. With
yeah. Oh, that's the 80s.
The 80s, yeah. I'm talking about
oh yeah. I had tons of those fucking things. I can't. Yeah. It was very that look for 80s.
But then, we both, went into the punk scene, and there was also a lot of drugs in that scene. And I didn't know about self-care at the time. Or self-actualization, or even to be proud. We both had to live stealth, right?
Yeah, and I found the punk scene was very easy to be stealth in, and it's like, and I felt more accepted, than the queer scene. And it's like, and I had my, when I went to Vancouver and did the Davie Street and figured out the whole trans shit and all that stuff, and the back and forth, like from Calgary, and learning stuff. But it's like, and headlining in queer clubs, as Bette Midler and shit, and then Marianne Faithfull, and then it's like I started getting into punk and stuff, and then I realized that I needed the gay clubs were cisgender male fucking kingdoms, right? And they're just as fucking stupid as the cowboys that were outside in Calgary. Like, seriously, it was. The only reason why they're a little bit more lethal now is because the well has been poisoned in their minds quicker. But I used to meet so many, just Joe Blow, middle Canada, very salt of the earth people type of thing, that would be shocked when they'd find out. But it's like, but you could have a conversation with them because their brains weren't fucking poisoned, because with all this media and your politicians telling you, well, in the States that there's only one, America's has only two genders. Like, I'm going, okay, well, what's your fucking point? It's like, yeah, it's like the social construct of America has two genders. We know that. Like, tell us something we don't know.
And the thing is people say that we're shoving it down their throat, and the thing is we've just become more visible. And so on one hand, we're proud of who we are and what we've come through, and we want to proclaim our truth. But this small group of politicians and people who are trying to influence others saw an opportunity to single out 1% of the population to scare the other 90% of people who have never met.
It's so boring. It's the same old fashioned fascist playbook. It's like, please, it's like, and the only thing why it's more glaring is because there has been a thought out plan in your country
for generationally to dumb down your fucking electorate, to take away from them. It's like, and to produce more of them so that they vote, and so you can mesmerize the fools and silence the intelligent. And you know, it's fucking. It's just about it's pure fucking evil.
It really is, and what it is
pure fucking evil. It's not giving a shit about people.
It's a consolidation of power, and you know, I don't want to use the big word, but it's the paleogenetic myth that somebody brought up. That's saying we used to be great, but now we're in decline, and everybody thinks that we're in decline because of trans people and immigrants, and it so gives the majority, or at least the white men who are trying to claw back every bit of power, this fear of like, oh my God, we're losing power to trans women who are in sports and to immigrants who've invaded our country, which they have not. And so in order...
It's all that stuff. It's all that rooted delusional ignorance. It's ignorance. It's them wanting to cultivate ignorance that we are self-existent, like the self-existing I, which is delusional. We are all in this together, and all of our maladies come from thinking that we're separate from each other.
Absolutely. Oh, I couldn't say it any better, Marty. Thank you for saying that.
And and that's nothing new. Like that's, you know, it's like that's from a Buddhist teaching that you're supposed to say over and over and over again, you know, every day, because we're because we're human beings, and we have to fucking keep poking holes in that fucking jello, because I can become a pick me like that again.
Sure.
If I don't watch it in this climate environment, it's like it takes guts. It takes a real human being being a gracious guest on earth to go, no, everybody fucking belongs here.
Right.
And it's like the bricks, the people that make me feel uncomfortable, you know, in their transdom or whatever like that. It's like, because if it makes me uncomfortable, that's something in me that I need to take a look at, right? And we can joke about it, we can laugh, we can do all the stuff we can do, you know, we can make fun of our differences and stuff, you know, but and then, you know, once we've healed from that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Like, so important to what you said, that we have more in common with each other, whether they're cis or even transphobes. We have more in common with them than we do with this technocratic elite who's trying to control everything, because that's the billionaires and the
we need punk rock again. We need
it's like Nazi punk,
and we need like the 90s. The 90s did it for raves and stuff, brought people together. A lot of people decolonized their brains through raves and stuff. It's like we need to dance. We need to fucking dance. We need to you know, another punk wave of whether it be techno or whatever. Like, you need to dance. You need to get out there. You need to do your time in those clubs and everything, and feel that energy and exude it, and drag people off the streets into the fucking bar with you. Like, fucking just connect with people.
And realize that we're all part of the same organism. You know, we are so connected, interconnected, spiritually and cosmically, you know, and some people might think that's too woo-woo, but I don't fucking care. But, you know, and you said earlier, you know, we have these...
we wouldn't be here speaking if it wasn't for that connection, because it's what separated us from the fucking Neanderthals, for Christ's sakes. That's why we survived, is because we worked together.
And you were talking about having those little space machines.
We weren't stronger than them. We weren't stronger than them.
No,
our hearts were stronger than them.
Right. These space machines in our pockets, and all of these. You know, one of the things that I think makes a person smart is curiosity. And you and I know you're very curious. I'm very curious.
Staying teachable, yeah.
All they have to do is pull out their little space machine and look up the history of gender variance and how long ago it started. We're going to do an episode on pick-me's later. We're going to do an episode on the history of gender variance in humanity. But all they have to do is pick up that little machine and look up, do trans women have an advantage in sports? All the literature says no.
I know, it doesn't. Yeah,
you know, do transgender people grooming children?
Look at that. I'm
going to have to bring you some of my weights to work out with.
I'd like to, that saw sound. I'd like to do
We're gonna
that
get
one.
you a sound effects
I
machine,
used to
Marty.
want this so bad when I was a young trans kid at like 18, 19. I was quite athletic body, like Gigi Gorgeous. So, but I wanted more jiggle, and I didn't have any jiggle. And I remember Bette Midler playing with her stuff on stage like that, and I was going, oh
She
my god, I
was
can't wait to have that.
unapologetically
Oh,
buxom, and she didn't care if her tits were
she
out
was my
or
North Star. She was like
that
her
first
Patti
album.
Smith. Her Patti Smith.
Yeah,
Put
Patti
them in a
Smith for
blend. Put
sure.
them in a blender with Nina Hagen and Susie and the Banshees, and yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe some Romeo Void. Yeah,
Yeah, they were great. Yeah, speaking of Romeo Void, my friend John Griffith, who was in the band Red Rockers, did a song with what was her name?
Oh my
Ileana.
God, Tiggy absolutely loved that. She was the large girl. She
Yeah,
was the large girl.
the woman of
Tiggy had a
style. Yeah.
total crush on her.
Oh, she was hot.
Yeah.
Deborah Eal. And maybe I'd like
Right.
you better if we slept together.
Slept together.
Maybe I'd
Might like you better if we slept together. But there's something in your eyes that
says never.
Says maybe. It says maybe.
Maybe.
Never.
Right.
Never. Say never.
Dun, 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 dun. I feel like we're at the same club.
Yes. And
We'd
that's
be dancing.
that very ska sounding
Yeah.
trumpet horn section in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna open for the Red Rockers, who did
oh my God, I wish I was
song
around
with
New
them.
York and I could just
No, this
do
is down
that.
in New Orleans. This is down in New Orleans.
In there too. God, that'd be fun.
Yeah, New Orleans, very French. But yeah, we had a hard time, but we also had a lot of fun time. Now we've grown through this, and I think,
we have grown.
We
for 7. How many? I think it's 13 surgeries later.
Oh gosh, between the two of us.
Yeah, 13. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, kids, people love this stuff. Anyways, you're paying for this if you're watching this. So you deserve this. You deserve this. Yeah, I got my. I think it was you get your nose done first. Okay, and when I was like 18, and then you can make more money to get your tatas done. That was number 2.
Okay.
And then you get your tatas done. Then you can get your twat done. But it's like that. But that didn't really work out because I had a capsule contracture, so I had another one. So there, and then I had and then what did I have? Oh my God, what did I have? Oh yeah, then I had another boob job for another one, and then after that, then I had my lip lift with my bottom surgery, and then labiaplasty
at the same time.
Yeah, both lips at the same time. And in the hospital, it's like I was like healing. It's like kept you for 9 days. On the 7th day, I said you didn't pull it back enough. I said I bugged him so much that his next OR time he actually pulled me in and cut me again.
So
and
after that, you were all lips.
I was all lips, and I had a nice big scar to prove it now underneath my nose. And people always say, "Oh my God, what happened to your nose, under your nose?" And I go, "Oh, I was in a car accident. I went straight through the windshield." I used to say that. It's like always like, and then what about this one now and the scar? Now I go, oh yeah, that was like when I fell down the stairs.
Oh gosh.
Because I had a facelift. My last one was facelift. Anyways, it's about 13. About 13 I've had.
Yeah, I've only had 2, but I'm actually my first one and my top surgery when I had them take the tatas away was 1988. And the surgeon was very good, and I think he did a really good job, but I need a revision. And while I still have insurance and I'm here in New York where they have really good surgeons.
Oh, yeah, do it.
I'm going to get a revision and
totally.
And while I'm in there, but, it's been a long road. But I think what this podcast is about is to share joy and hope and positivity for people who are coming up as trans youth, but also people who don't understand that we're just human like they are. And that we have fears and anxieties and joy and euphoria and curiosity and we want things. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Cuba. I want to visit Marty in Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
Bring my wife. So
it's so weird how it's like, I basically have been walking amongst them. When I talk to when I talk about the mainstream, when I'm talking to the mainstream, I'm basically saying, I've walked amongst you, and you never even knew the tea of that, because it's like, who fucking cares? It's like,
Right.
why should I care if you have, like, if you're circumcised or not? Or it's like, if you had, like, all that stupid
I
stuff.
don't
It's
need
just
to know
dumb.
what's in your pants. I
I know,
really
like,
don't.
all that stuff. It's so weird.
It's a
And so,
distraction. It's a
it's always been
distraction.
around you. So so the real problem is that people don't have. It's like if you don't conform and look, it comes back to the same old patriarchal fucking nonsense that
Thank
we're
you.
all detoxing from. That we're all detoxing from. You know what I mean? And it's like, that we're supposed to look a certain way, and that's why I let myself hang around people, because people that didn't look like trans people, that didn't look like me and stuff. It's like I couldn't even, like, hang around with them until got recently. Well, when I had my surgery, bottom surgery in '97, I met this person that transitioned later in life, um, and um, and so I had to work through all that resentment about, because I used to just not understand that people that transition later, it's like it was a totally different
Yeah.
experience, and
It
it
took me
is, and
some
we learn
time
from that.
too, but
Yeah, but
and
it's like,
that's
but that was my own resentments, because, like, they didn't have to, like, I felt like I had all these resentments that I had to, be a hoe and all that stuff too, and it's like, and they, it got the male privilege, and then, came out the other end and did it when it was, easier. But once I got to know my friend who transitioned, really got to know somebody, I realized that all of our suffering is relative, right? Like, and
yes.
she suffered in her own way, and I thought about how many sisters that couldn't transition because it was too tough for them, that took their own lives,
Right.
right? Rather than, and the ones that tried to have kids or families, and tried to assimilate, like it's just endless, different types of the different hues of the genocide that we've had,
I think that it's so interesting because I think some people would say, well, why don't you just live stealth? Why do you have to be so out and loud? Well, we have to
Yeah.
because you're fucking attacking us. And second of all, their big fear is they made up this lie that we're coming to trans your children, or that we're turning children trans. Look, Marty and I will testify that you are born this way. You cannot make a kid that's not trans. That's, and you can't untrans a kid too with electroshock therapy or conversion therapy. So they
And
thought we're coming for the kids, and that's when they got really freaked out, because the right wing push and the religious evangelicals push that narrative, which couldn't
But
be further from
most
the
of them don't
truth.
even believe it. It's that they took that visible minority, and something that is odd, because 20 years ago, when I was talking to my sponsor once, and where I was talking about my trans experience, I'm going, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? She goes, yeah, it is weird. She goes, it's weird. It's different than normal. So that's the definition of weird, right? It's like my life. So it's like, but they take something that's odd or weird, you know what I mean? Something that you have to, like, understand if you want to take the time to, and they just use it and go, see, like, look, and they're doing this. It's like it's like the 1930s with the Jews, and and the Hansel and Gretel, fucking the real Hansel and Gretel
Right.
fable, which was really about a Jew eating lady that lived in the forest and ate children. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same old bullshit.
And they
It's the
have to
same old
live.
fascist playbook, and it's like just, it's like, fuck, like, it's so
They
fucking
have to live in this black and white
dumb.
world where there's only up and down, left and right,
And they
male and
believe in a
female.
sky daddy, and they believe in this. We're talking about people that believe that there's some guy with testicles up in the sky telling you that you're gonna bless you and all this. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
it's
as the
fucking
son of a
delusional.
preacher man, I can tell you that in the Bible, it says that God is neither male or female.
There you
So
go. He's
for those
trans. They're
people,
trans.
he's has no sex,
God is
or is
trans.
intersex, or
Yeah,
trans.
they're trans. God is
So
trans.
if you do want to believe in God, that's fine.
Neither
That's your
or, Alpha
prerogative.
and Omega.
But wouldn't you
Form and
think that
emptiness.
somebody so omniscient and omnipresent would make this varied spectrum of gender, sexuality, the same as
Stop being
a garden of
stupid,
flowers?
Stop being stupid, Stop being stupid,
But I don't want to call people who do have faith stupid, because a lot of people have deconstructed their faith and said there's something that we can take away from Islam, Judaism, Christianity that will help our lives. but we're not going to believe that dogma that was dictated by, King James, who had his own skeletons in the closet, if you know what I mean.
He was a flaming faggot. He was a flaming faggot. Why are you
a book that's been
edited
edited multiple times, which I
oh
argue
my
with.
God! I know they're all like going. The Bible says. I'm going. That was written by a homosexual, right?
Right, and they change it so
Like
many times throughout history. Like, how can you say that that's the inerrant word of God?
It's
like God is in
fucking
here.
Stupid.
We are God, and God is around us.
Good
we
orderly
are God.
God, good orderly direction, or the great outdoors, or whatever gets you off into your highest. Your to become that gracious guest in the world. Whatever makes you a good person, that's your fucking God.
Yeah, so we're just as complicated and messy and funny and silly as everybody else, and I hope that people get that through this podcast.
Well, I want to go. I want to go, but honestly, I want to go. Where did all my fucking, where did straight society that was so cool go? Like, where did it go? Like, where the fuck are you?
It's like their brains were taken over, like fucking night. Body snatch, invasion of the body snatchers, invasion of the brain snatchers.
But then when I see those French women that were parading down the street yesterday for International Women's Day, and I said, "Oh, there they are, yes."
And if you notice the Spanish senator that I posted, who gave this, she's the first trans senator in Spain, and she gave this passionate speech, and she said, "We're the talk of the town right now. You've come here to tear us down." And the one thing she said is, do you think we just appeared out of nowhere magically, like magic? We just, 2010, here we are. I mean, when we know in reality that trans has always existed and it exists in nature.
I know.
And,
it's just everybody's been walking around with the patriarch, with their head full of the head of patriarchy stuck up their ass.
It's going to be hard to undo it, but I know a lot of my cis male heterosexual friends are completely in support of women being in charge, including trans women, and that they've had their turn to fuck things up.
Yeah.
Let's put a little estrogen on the table and see if things go a little bit better.
Yeah, and it's just like if you're like social media people that post a lot of shit and everything, just remember, like, don't fall into the fucking nonsense. Of course there's fucking weirdos in every type of segment of society. It's like there's some trans, self-proclaimed trans people that I would just not be caught dead with. You know what I mean? That are just when I listen to them, I think I'm doing a shift in the psych ward again, because, I used to work in the psych ward, and it's like, just remember that there's a lot of people that aren't well, and it's like, and if they happen to, be trans or, whatever, it's like, there's sick people everywhere, but don't take that and start like going, oh my God, it's like you're ruining it for everybody. It's like anybody can put on a freaking dress and say, you know what I mean? Like, it's just use your common sense. Don't become part of the problem. Right.
And the thing is common sense also comes from a certain level of education, right? And you said here in America, they have completely torn down our educational system because all you need to do is a Google search. And educate yourself, read the history, meet other trans people online or even in person and say, okay, let me make up my mind about them to see what they're about. Oh, there's nothing to fear. They're actually interesting and funny and enlightening. And I hope that kids today and tomorrow have the opportunity to grow into their fullness earlier than we did, because we had to go through a lot of shit and self-harm.
Oh, they have now. They
have.
Oh, fuck. It's like there's, I'm sorry, but it's like the suffering that you are feeling. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's a fucking, it's a luxury compared to all of my dead friends that.
And I mean, I was thinking about that. You and I would have had such, and I think we've done quite well. I'm very happy where I am, but imagine what we'd have been able to do had we been supported and said, "Oh, you're just fine the way you are. You want to transition? Fine, no problem. You would have gone on to a theater career.
Yeah, you don't have to go suck cock on Davie Street, honey. You can you can go straight to Berkeley, and here's the little queer center off campus, and there you go. Have fun, be a star. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a star on Davie Street, like, you know. It's like, just like, give me
I
a
mean,
break. It's like
I
there's so many sanctuary, everything right now, and this is where, and you have to go to them, and uh, you have to like contribute to all of the, countermeasures that need to be happening in your country, especially your country, right?
yes.
It's like, so get involved in those centers.
And it's
if you're
hard and
young,
it's
a kid,
scary,
queer kid.
we certainly don't want to be arrested and put in the
Yeah,
wrong cell.
but the best
But
way to get out of your fear is to go to help others.
right,
It
absolutely.
just,
And that can
you know,
be in a number of ways. You can contribute financially, you can write notes of support on social media to other trans people if you can't get out there yourself.
yeah,
Make signs,
yeah,
write
exactly.
songs, whatever it takes. But we're going to be here every week for a while. I think
Yeah.
they're telling us to wrap it down.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
Oh,
anything
Patrick
yet.
Nagel, thank you. That
Oh,
was the
yeah,
artist
yeah.
we were talking about.
No, but it's good timing. Yeah. So look forward to sharing more of my story. Sorry if I hogged the airwaves first. At first, I thought we were doing it like, I'm doing getting interviewed this week, and then you're doing it next week. But then we'll figure it out. But we'll flesh out more stuff of our stories and stuff as people tune in every week. And I look forward to hearing from everybody. Please
Yeah, I
follow
think
us.
it's good to share our stories on the same episode. And we, as we go on, we'll definitely be digging into more details about, our lives, the sordid parts and the fun, sexy parts too.
Yeah, and if anybody wants, it has a question that we haven't or something that we haven't talked about, please, follow our socials. It'll be linked down below, and you can DM me definitely, and leave a message and a question or whatever. But we'll also have it on our Patreon too, where you can ask questions and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, please do that. So,
Love you, dear.
Love you too, honey.
Namaste.
Have a great
Hope
week.
you have a great week. Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice little respite and oasis, and be able to get out, get out our angst and stuff together. I really appreciate it, and with everybody that's listening too, it's nice to just kind of, move that energy with everybody and share our experience, strength, and hope weekly with you guys.
Absolutely.
I think
Love
that's
you.
it.
Next time.
Okay.
A Life Lived Trans with Marty P and Lenny Z.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Find your mind.
A Life Lived Trans is a Diva Down production, produced by Carmen Laurent and Carly, aka Tranby.
Your hosts are Lenny Zenith and Marty Perinack. Thank you for supporting our Life Lived Trans testimonies.
For full episodes and bonus content, please visit www.patreon.com/alifelivedtrans.